Hi everyone, my name is Stefi Santacruz. I'm owner of Col-lab Studio. We're an architectural services primarily based firm. Really being like collaborative with other people, like I don't think it has to stay like within your organization, like reaching out to others or like visiting other spaces and being inspired. Well, one, being young obviously is sometimes a challenge just in general, especially when you get placed in a position of like, I guess the higher position, higher ranking position, if you may. I had a lot of people just throughout the course of my career, like just kind of dismissing some of the ideas that I've brought up, right? I feel like being young is definitely a challenge. And then obviously, sometimes being a woman is a challenge as well. I mean, I think it's, and a Latina woman, right? So I feel like kind of have like the trifecta of just a, kind of standard potential challenge.
Hello everyone, welcome to Creative Blueprints. Today I'm here with another guest for this podcast. She is Stefi Santacruz with Col-lab. We are here in her office that is a shared space with designers and other architecture firms. But I'm so excited to have you here. Thank you so much for being part of Creative Blueprints.
Thank you, Mitzi, for having me. I'm excited.
I mean, this is like everybody's like super tight when we start the conversation. I know Stefi from, I don't know, like a year ago. And this is very like, I don't know the purpose, one of the purpose of this podcast, that you are part of the community. And it's very funny that I met you through this kind of goal, because I attended to an event from a group that you and another architectural designer, architectural landscape, put together, and I was there and I met Stefi and I met this other lady that probably will be in the podcast later and soon. But it's very exciting that we are sharing these moments, not only for work, but we can share other activities and we can share more about our lives. So that's amazing that I met you there. So we will start this conversation with a brief introduction about yourself. So if you can share with us about your experience in architecture. I know that you are architect. So how you started in this construction field, and how many years of experience you have, where are you from, and one more. What is your happy place?
Okay. Hi everyone, my name is Stefi Santacruz. I'm owner of Col-lab Studio. We're an architectural services primarily based firm. I have about 12 years of experience, worked for other firms, but started Col-lab almost 4 years ago in September. So, very excited that, I think we're almost at the 5-year mark, so which feels a little bit of an accomplishment. So, primarily worked for other firms, have been working for firms that do commercial work, residential work, renovations, honestly, a little bit of everything. So it kind of feels like I've brought all of that with me to Col-lab.
Yeah.
So kind of like to say that people ask what our like specialization is, and I'm like, well, maybe we don't have one, because I like to work on a lot of different things. I like a challenge, and our team is very diverse and very experienced in different things. So I think that's exciting. So my happy place, besides being with my daughter, because I love her, I think would be being in a mostly female, collaborative type of environment. Those happy hours or groups that you mentioned that we met through, all females, that just makes me really happy to collaborate with others, learn what they're doing, help each other out, connect each other in different ways. So, I really just enjoy a collaborative environment, especially with other woman.
That's amazing.
So, yeah.
Did you born here in Austin, or where are you from?
Yeah, I'm from the Juarez, El Paso border. I lived in Mexico, but I went to school in El Paso since kindergarten. So kind of been, in both worlds, right, for a while. And then came to college here at Texas A&M, and then my master's at University of Houston. So I like Spanish is my first language, but but I've been bilingual since I was 5. So
that's amazing. Okay, well, all of this dynamic is that we have here some questions for you. So all is about how lucky you are, and you will pick the question, you can read it, and you can answer it. So that is pretty easy. So we can know more about yourself and what is important for you, for your company, and all of that fun stuff. So are you ready for the first one?
Yes.
All right.
Okay, let's mix it up a little bit. Let's get the tightest one. Okay. Just read the question?
Yeah.
Okay. Share with me a big mistake during your career as designer, architect, builder, business owner, really architect. How did you solve it, and what did you learn from it? Great question.
We were talking about this question before the podcast. She knows some of the questions, but not all of them.
Yes.
So that is pretty
It's funny because that's the first question. I told Mitzi, I'm trying to think what would be my biggest mistake. And honestly, the first thing that came to mind is not the biggest mistake, but just some concurrent ones that I've been having at Col-lab is sometimes we design something and maybe we don't include all of the services that we could provide with that project.
Yeah.
So for example, sometimes we don't include interior design, or we don't include just interior in general. Sometimes we do exterior work. So I feel to me that is a mistake, because at the end of the day, if you don't design holistically, then the product may not be what you're envisioning. So I feel we've had some projects that have been built already or in construction, and then we do site visits, and then you start to notice things we should have thought of that or included that with our scope. And I think just designing holistically is very important, and if you don't, then you just kind of leave it open to anyone, to whether that's a builder or a client or whomever, to just come up with something and figure that out on their own.
Do you remember in a specific situation, a little situation where you experienced that?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so we have a couple of higher end custom residential homes. Some of them in Austin, some of them in Houston. So when we went to a site visit to take final photography for that project, realized that a couple of things, veins weren't matching with the cabinets, it wasn't coordinated, right? It was just kind of left there open for interpretation. So little things like finishes matching, just grains and the material of that matching with each other, and just combination of tiles is a very quick example. I feel that would have been better, should have been better coordinated.
Yeah, maybe listen the details. So,
yes,
yeah,
exactly.
Of course.
So
that's interesting. So we have to be very detail oriented in this field. But that experience just make us improve. In the next,
definitely. Yeah, and sometimes clients, they don't want to pay for a full services scope. And us just trying to work within their budget, we're okay, well, we can do this and not give you this other service. But sometimes I think just doing a better job at explaining the value of services and certain things, I think is important as just any business owner and service provider.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Are you ready for the next one?
Yes.
All right.
Okay. Ooh, there you go. Let's see. Okay. What do you do when you feel like you have no more ideas to solve a design architectural problem? Okay. That's very good.
Some drinks.
Yeah. Yes. So we're a small team, right? So there's 5 of us.
Who are they?
Yeah, there's.
Do you have, what is?
What are the roles?
Yeah, what are the roles?
Yeah. So it's me, kind of like a, just principal, owner, also project manager is primarily my role. Then we have another lady, project manager / project architect. So she's more of the technical, detail-oriented person and manages some of our projects. And then we have a project designer. So she's very like creative and she's just like all design and both like exterior and interior. Yeah. And then we have our production staff in Colombia. So we have 2 guys and they're a production team. So they help us like pull together all the drawings and documentation for projects.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. So yeah, I think with being a small team, sometimes there's not as many people to, collaborate ideas with, especially if like each person has, let's just say a specific role. So I feel like maybe when we run out of ideas, I think, well, one would be like trying to find, a alternate source of inspiration. Like we're working on a pickleball project right now. And like for that specific project, we don't have experience designing a pickleball court project. So I was just like, okay, you guys, like, let's just get out there, go to a pickleball place, play pickleball, and then just like figure it out, right? Like, just see the place.
Yeah.
So I think, just getting experience from visiting other spaces, I think is a way to like spark that creativity and like get more ideas. And then, I think just talking to other people that we think could have, similar experience or that could help us out, like, I don't know, something related to landscape. Let's just talk to a friend and like, talk about our experience and like, what are the issues that we're trying to solve? And, I think it's just really being like collaborative with other people. Like, I don't think it has to stay like within your organization, like reaching out to others or, like visiting other spaces and being inspired.
Yeah, that is an amazing example of that what you learn in school, like as an architect, is like completely different what you're like experiencing each day.
Yes.
Because if somebody, like when you were like in college, they will tell you, you will design a pickleball space, you will never know.
No.
So that was like, I'm not gonna learn that if I am not facing that challenge.
Yeah.
So it's like that is an amazing example that we need to be like continuously like experiencing other challenges and just facing whatever that is coming in terms of work.
Yeah, just like doing the research and like trying to see like, has this been done or how has this been done and like how could we cater that to the specific location or client. So just doing research, I think, is a good,
And at the same time, it's like super fun. Like,
it's super fun.
Stuff. Yeah.
I mean, that's a fun example, but
That's great.
So,
all right. Are you ready for the next one?
Creo que sí.
Okay.
Okay. What role does sustainability play in your projects and how do you incorporate eco-friendly practices into your work? Great question. So I think, being a smaller firm, sometimes that has been a little difficult because there are clients with sometimes smaller budgets, right? So, sometimes they come to us and they're like, well, I want this house. And, we start to ask questions like, do you want, I don't know, solar panels? Do you want it to be efficient and all of that? And they're like, no, we're just trying to keep a low budget. So obviously that's a challenge, I think, when starting off on younger firms. But I feel like just, again, being like an advocate for certain things, right? Like, just orienting the building is a very simple way of like being sustainable and efficient. So I think just being like very mindful and like simple in a way where we don't like, throw out like solar panels or water collection systems like for the smaller projects and the smaller clients. But just, efficient windows, orientation, just like landscaping, like just the small things I think like start to add up for those. And then for our larger projects, I think there is more like the larger commercial projects that we have, I think there is more opportunity to like bring in the sustainability elements. So we have a couple of projects where we are doing like rainwater harvesting tanks.
Oh, wow.
So I think those like luckily like also get pushed by other team members, like engineers. So I think like there's more opportunity sometimes in the bigger projects than the smaller ones, but that's not to say that, you know, because those are smaller, there shouldn't be sustainability thought into those. So yeah.
Maybe just like give the options to the client. Like there is always the possibility to make this more like eco-friendly.
Yeah.
And also that is important also to have like a more collaborative team. So you don't need to know everything.
Right.
That is another part of this. Like as an architect, you don't have to know about everything and all of the features that you can incorporate to a building that is eco-friendly. If you have a very collaborative team that they know more like engineer stuff that maybe you know.
Exactly.
And that is great.
Yeah. And then and then we do have like, I'm thinking of one very small residential project that we have with a client who is very adamant about having sustainability implemented into his project. Like we've been exploring like CMU wall construction, and then like ICF construction, so insulated concrete forms. So that's not something that that I've ever done like personally. So at least there are some of those clients that do want to be innovative, and that gives us the opportunity to learn about those materials and those construction methods. So
what is one of the features that you have added to one of your constructions that you say like, this is amazing?
I think that's one, the ICF exterior wall construction that we've never done. That's like still in design, so it hasn't been built yet, but fingers crossed, like all works out well. And there is already a contractor on board for that project. So he has been going to the training for the ICF construction, just making sure that everybody in the team is like knowledgeable of what's coming essentially. So I think that would be one that I can think of right now.
That's great.
It's exciting.
Awesome. All right, the next one.
Awesome. What are some of the biggest challenges you faced as a business owner in the construction industry? Okay. That's a good.
Before this question. So you used to work for another company before you started your own firm?
Yes.
Okay, what was your role there?
So I worked for several other companies, but the last one before I started is Fluger Architects. So I was a project manager, but then I was promoted to a principal in that company.
Okay.
So basically, I had like equity in the business. And yeah, my role was a project manager. I was very young. I guess I'm still very young, I think.
You're a baby.
So I think, one, being young obviously is sometimes a challenge just in general, especially when you get placed in a position of like, I guess the higher ranking position, if you may. So just being very young, because I had a lot of people just throughout the course of my career, like just kind of dismissing some of the ideas that I've brought up, right? And like just saying, well, you'll be fine. It's okay.
They trust in you.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I feel like being young is definitely a challenge. And then obviously, sometimes being a woman is a challenge as well. I mean, I think that's, and a Latina woman, right? So I feel like kind of have like the trifecta of just a kind of standard potential challenge. But sometimes I also think it's a big benefit, because especially where I worked before, there was a lot of appreciation for bringing other cultures and other backgrounds into a project, right? So it was weird because sorry, water. Yeah, it was weird because it was both a challenge but also a blessing. Like there were some scenarios where it was difficult to like express myself and be accepted in the group, but there were other scenarios where I was appreciated because I was I came from a certain background. So it's a curse and a blessing, I think.
It's applause, but at the end it's like I'm not feel like secure about myself at the beginning. So but that's amazing. So after 5 years now, what is the most challenging part that you have faced with your own firm?
I think just starting a business and never have starting one before, but I think that's just everybody. So I think it's like finding the resources to help the business grow. Like, for example, and just thinking of the overhead stuff, like where can I find an IT guy to help me like set up the framework and the structure for my system? And like I've actually reached out to several ones, and sometimes they're like not as excited to help because you're not a big company. So so it's just, you know, that. And then I think just finding like someone who is knowledgeable in accounting, you know, and like you know, just like the business aspect of things. And luckily I found a person right now that is helping me, a fractional CFO, that is helping me structure the business side of my business, right? So I could be doing more of the architecture and the business development. So I think just finding the key like pieces that are you know, maybe not directly related to architecture, that could help me, you know, get my hands off of that to grow like what I can do better, I guess.
Yeah.
So
even if you didn't have like those pieces when you started, when did you feel that was the moment to start your own firm?
Yeah, I think there was a moment, and I think it was like during COVID, right? When I was working from home and I was being like super efficient with my time, and I was also spending a lot of time with my family, where I was like not in the office like all day, and I was like, this is nice. Like, you know, I feel like I could work, be super efficient, but also do my personal things and, you know, be with my family. So I feel like it was at that point where I was like, I can do my job, you know, not in an office, and be, and have a productive life. So I think it was, and the freedom that obviously that came with all of that. So yeah, I think it was more of like a freedom and independence movement for me. And just realizing that it was possible with COVID and remote work and virtual meetings. Because before then, you know, especially for me, like virtual meetings were like not really a thing in architecture. So
that's great.
So yeah,
I mean, there is always like this space in our mind, like, oh my God, probably it's not a good option to start our own firm. And it's like from a job that is just like very stable, like just like to move to the other side and just like I will do it and I will do my best to continue with this. So, and during COVID, did you feel that was like weak for you, or was a very busy situation when we were in college?
I feel like it was good for me, because I feel like people were starting to be very open-minded about like the virtual remote culture, and I feel like you could work with people that were, you know, living somewhere else, or that were, you know, out of the office for that day, but they were in Dallas, and you could still talk to them and you could still have meetings. So I feel like, to be honest, there was more momentum with like moving projects during COVID, because there wasn't so like, okay, when do we meet? And then, you know, I'm only available in 2 weeks where we can sit together physically and, you know, talk about a project. So I feel like it moved faster for me, and it was better.
Awesome.
So,
fantastic.
Okay. Is this the last one?
Just a couple more.
Okay.
Another one.
Okay.
Just in case.
Okay. If you had the chance to give advice to your 15-year-old self, what would you say? I like this one.
John, John.
I like that question, because I feel like my young self was very like critical of everything that I did. And I always tried to like be the best at everything. It was great when that, you know, when I was the best at something in my mind, but it was also very stressful. So I feel like, you know, I just like was always trying to think of the future and like plan ahead, like, you know, I need to do this so I could be, you know, get the best grade, get into the best school, and do, you know, do the best at everything. And I feel like, you know, just like right now, I feel like I'm in a very zen place, because I don't feel like I need to be the best to, you know, just be who I am and have a business, and, you know, just I don't feel like I need to be the best. So that's actually like very relaxing for me, and like, you know, I just feel that I need to do a good job to make my clients happy. I need to do a good job in my personal life to, you know, I guess have a good family and things running. And, you know, I just want to be a good friend, so I don't have to be the best friend or you know, the best at anything. So I feel like I would tell my younger self, like, just relax and like, you know, I think like just be open about whatever the future brings and like don't plan so much and don't stress so much. So
Okay.
yeah.
How you balance that part of work with your life? Because I know that, you know, construction is always like a busy field where it's like just to schedule this was like always is like a thing.
Yes.
So how you organize your time in terms of just to have like the time for the important part that is, of course, the family.
Yeah. I feel like I don't have it 100% figured out yet. It's obviously, I mean, 4 years into Col-lab, I'm still working on it.
It's always like an improving area, you know?
Yeah, especially, you know, because I started Col-lab and I wasn't a mom and, you know, I had a baby, then, you know, I'm a mom. So, you know, obviously like my whole life evolved, right, since I started. You know, before I could just dedicate my everything into this project and business. And now it's like, I can't dedicate 110% like I was doing. So I just kind of have to prioritize, honestly, like on my week, like kind of on a weekly basis, like, okay, this week, I have to take my daughter to her first ballet class. So like, that's my priority on Wednesday. Like I'm gonna like stop work at 3 and I'm gonna take her. So I feel like it's honestly kind of right now on a weekly basis, like what are my priorities, right? And then I organize my whole week, like, you know, if I can't work half day on Wednesday, then I'm gonna make up some time on Saturday and that's okay. So I think it's just like kind of managing. It's like, I guess, it's like ups and downs and balancing different things. So maybe I'll have a better way to figure that out later. But I actually talked to someone this week about that. And, you know, she was very inspiring with the things she mentioned that she does. So yeah, it's an ever like evolving thing because life changes and like I may be in a different situation in a year from now than what I am now. So yeah, I think you just kind of have to work with it, you know, almost on a day-to-day, but I'm trying to be like my week to week, right?
Yeah,
Not be such a big planner that I'm always been a big planner. So, and trying to be more minimalistic planner. So.
Yeah, that is a little big tip that you guys can, you know, incorporate to your daily life, just to say, okay, this is an important thing that I need to do this week. So I need to figure it out with all the other things because work is never will be like done 100%. So sure.
And like you can plan like, you know, your whole month if you want, or your whole, you know, semester, but something may come up and that, you know, throws a wrench on everything and it changes everything. So I'm doing more of the short-term planning for that.
That's
part.
amazing. All right. So the last one.
Okay. Okay. Do you think your designs tell something about you, the professionals behind the firm? How can you define your company style? It's a great question too. So this year for me, actually, for Col-lab, I think has been, you know, trying to define like who we are, right? I feel like when you start a business, we'll just kind of go back, like take a couple steps back. I feel like when you start a business, sometimes the idea is not wholly there, right? Sometimes I feel like, well, let's just see if I can make it in this business. Let's just see if I can get my first clients. So it kind of just, sometimes it's very like kind of as you go growth, like more organic growth. And I feel like that's what happened with me, right? Like I didn't have a very definitive, like, well, I am only going to do this one thing and this is what everybody's gonna know me for. I didn't have that plan. So I feel like, sorry, voy a tener que cortar.
The style.
The style, ¿verdad? Ah, sí, yo sí lo tenía aquí, se me fue.
Entonces tienes que organizar tu tiempo.
Sí. Ya sé. Okay, vamos a hacer aquí. So I feel like, you know, with our organic growth that we've had, it's like, you know, I feel like, you know, maybe I have my personal style, but does that really get translated directly to the firm? Like, I don't want it to be just about me, right? I want it to be bigger than that. And so I want to have a team, which we're working on now this year mostly. Like I want to have a team of people that have input in what we do and like what we're putting out there. So we've actually been working on a little bit of a mini rebrand for the company, and I'm getting input from team members, right? Like Like, what do you think about us? What do you think of the work we've been putting out there? Like, what do we want people to think of us? And not just like, oh, I'm this like very modern, you know, style.
Yeah.
I want people to like say, oh, well, collab is great because, you know, I don't know, they listen to us, and, you know, everything we tell them, they hear us, and it's what they give to us. So I want it to be more than just something that you like can perceive aesthetically. I want it to be something more than what you perceive like aesthetically. I want it to be like a feeling more than like that. So yes, so that all to say, this whole year it's been of like, you know, just like sitting and like for a moment and like thinking like, what have we done up until now, and like what are we working on right now that represent us, and what do we want it to continue in the future. So I'm like literally living in that question, living inside of that question this whole year. So I guess, the short answer is I want it to be something that is like, you can feel it, and like, you know, not just something that, you know, is there.
Is your style. It's like your client's style, your team style.
Yeah. I want it to be something that is like kind of like heartfelt, right? So
that's great. And as a business owner, like just to see it and talk with your team about what we are doing and why we are doing this. That is a collaborative work that brings a lot to your company.
That reminds me of like, I read several books in the past about like, it's not the what, it's the why. So why? Like, why are we doing this? Like, who are we doing it for? So I think it's like we're taking a mental zen and like break this year. Not break, but just a, you know, kind of a space, creating space to like really think about that as we move forward.
That's very important for your company. Awesome. We will close this conversation just with a brief advice that you can give to new talents that they want to study architecture, or they want to be part of the construction field, even if they do not have a major in architecture, but they are interested in the construction part. What you can give what advice that will be?
I feel like what I feel has been very valuable with my experience and of other team members that I've seen is like, I feel like a lot of us have gone out there and worked for the bigger companies, and I think that it has good things because in a way, you know, you get out of school with this very like unstructured system, then you go out there, and I think it's good to learn some structure because it's good to learn, you know, like professional practice and, you know, methods that are good. It's good to learn a system. That way, you know, when you kind of go out and venture on your own, or you work for smaller firms, or you try to, you know, create your own project, there's sort of a like baseline of just what the standard industry does. But then, you know, you can choose to like modify certain things, right? Or you can choose to, well, you know, this is the standard, but, you know, I think I want to like try something different. And I think it's good to, you know, especially like in the architecture industry, there's, you know, a lot of like, there's standards for certain things. For sure. So I think it's good to learn it in a bigger company for a few years, and then, you know, just get out there and like, you know, do your thing. So
amazing. Do not be afraid, and fake it till you make it. And then when you will like fake it, and you will know that at the end you will only make it.
Yes,
so
exactly.
It's like now that you have all the experience, you will make it. And
make
it. That's great.
Well,
thank you so much for to accept this invitation, and just to be in touch with you, if you can share with us your contact information, where people can find you, your website, your email, your social media, so all yours.
So our website is collabstudio.com. We're on Instagram as well, so Col-lab Studio. And then you can reach us via email, hello@collabstudio.com. So thank you, everyone.
That's amazing. Well, thank you so much for being part of this. And I will see you in the next video.
Thank you. Bye.